You're watching Beyond Your Backyard Now with Erik the Travel Guy for Monday, April 6th, 2020.
Thank you for watching the premiere edition of Beyond Your Backyard Now. I am Erik the Travel Guy. I am here in the home studio. This is our brand new set. We've constructed it here in my home, as I know you are facing similar challenges at your home and learning what that new normal is about. Before we go much further, I thought I would share what this program is. And this program is a celebration of travel. I know, at least I believe, you and I could both take a little bit of a break from the news of the day. It is rather, I would say depressing, upsetting. It certainly is a lot of information we're taking in about our current normal, which leads me to remind you, the team and I have been working for weeks on this program. We've actually been working on it for months. And the first decision we had was whether or not we were going to start this program now. And after careful consideration, I decided that this information is needed now more than ever. And I'll tell you why. Because the travel and tourism industry is hurting in a big way. And the reason that that is true is because we are hurting in a big way. Now, I don't want to dwell on that. As a matter of fact, I'd like this program to serve as an oasis. We're going to present this program every week, Mondays at 4 o'clock. We're going to pop it up on YouTube for you. We want it to be interactive. Eventually, it will be live. But for the time being, please subscribe to the channel. You can ask questions in the comments. You can make comments, positive or negative. I'm sure we'll step over the line here and there. We're going to try to have a little fun, for heaven's sakes. But more important, we're going to hopefully remind you what travel is all about and what's waiting for us when we get through this. And it is my opinion we will get through this, and hopefully we'll get through it together better, dare I say, stronger when we come out the other side. Now, on today's program, I've got some great guests you're going to love to meet. Andrew Kalb will be here. He is sort of our media and travel industry analyst. Dr. Joel Ingersoll will be here. He is a clinical psychologist who's going to help us with, how to cope with this new normal of being at home with the kids and the working from home. He's going to be here and provide some tips. We're also going to help you with ideas on how to bring travel into your home. In addition, we're going to talk with a YouTube superstar. Her name is Allison Anderson. She will be joining us as well. We're doing the format, what's called live to tape. So we're trying to tape as much material in real time as possible, as close to Monday at 4 o'clock as possible, to keep us as current as possible. All right, I said I wasn't going to do a monologue. I guess I've done one. I didn't mean to. That's the who, what, when, where of this program. I am incredibly grateful that you're joining us. Hopefully you will do so each and every week. Before we meet the team, the production department's put together a really cool short video about what is waiting for us when we get back to traveling again. So I thought we'd take a look. See, this is what I am talking about. Absolutely phenomenal. I love that piece. And you'll be pleased to know that every shot from that particular video was shot here in the United States, which means you could actually go and see from the very same spots from that video. You can see, we will put that on the show notes for the week so you get a little idea generator as you begin to plan your next vacation through this crisis that we are going through. And that goes to say, I mean, there are a lot of people who work on this program, some of which you will meet, some work behind the scenes who do not want to be on camera. But we have assembled the travel team. I want to introduce you to them real quick. Are we doing, do I look, all right, I got to look this, I got to look over here. So how is everybody?
Doing great.
Excellent. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. The hardest working group in travel right here on one Zoom screen that we still, none of us really know how to use. I think we're doing all right though.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we've taken our own journey on how to work from home and produce a television program. And I might add, you all are doing amazing. So thank you for that, because wow. First of all, well, Aaron, we're going to start with you, Aaron. You're outside Chicago, right?
Yes, we are. Yep.
You've got the two young children.
Yep.
You're growing your own food, cooking it, canning it. I mean,
Everything.
you really are kind of set up for this.
Yeah, we are kind of set up. I mean, fortunately, I guess, but unfortunate, we don't want to be, but we do have kind of a good setup going here. My children, Winnie the Pooh is taking care of them right now, so we feel good about it.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Wow, you ordered a Winnie the Pooh person. That's awesome. Okay, well,
plus, let's be using all the technology. So.
and by the way, Andrew, you're down in Brooklyn, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Now, how are things down there? What's the mood like down there? Try to paint a picture for us real quick. Would you mind?
Well, the mood inside here is fantastic, actually, right now. I can't think of 5 other people I'd rather be with than you guys right now. Outside's a different story. We're talking gloves, we're talking masks, we're talking, precautions, all seriousness. People are doing what they need to do. It's really tough, obviously, in the New York City area. But inside here, it's just fine. And the key is we got to wait it out.
That's exactly right. And you're close to Randy, right? You guys are both in Brooklyn. How close are you?
We're more than 6 feet away, I hope, Randy.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's all we need to be.
Yeah.
But,
that's the
Brooklyn's it's a big place, but it's much smaller than you'd think. So it's an easy walk.
Got it. All right. Well, and then Sal, you're in, would it be Central Jersey? Is that right?
Yeah, we consider it Central New Jersey. We're about 25 miles west of Manhattan. And
how are things
out here in the suburbs? Things are pretty calm. I think that it's taken a lot of patience for people to wait to get to the wine aisle at Trader Joe's. You have to kind of space yourself out. They're only letting 20 in at a time.
Yeah.
So, other than that, that's probably the most critical problem we're facing at this time in these posh suburbs.
And then finally, of course, we have Mission Control, Harry. You also are outside Chicago. And, how are you taking all this so far?
We're taking it day by day. We have a positive attitude. Everything's going to work out. We just got to, take it slow. So we're here to in the Beyond Your Backyard post-production studios, and we're excited to, think positive thoughts and come together in this virtual way and using new technology. It's great.
And you managed to get a shameless promotion in for Beyond Your Backyard. And I love that. I dig that about you, Harry.
Not my first day.
It's not your first day. Incidentally, season 3 of Beyond Your Backyard, that's the program that we do for public broadcasting stations, nationally syndicated, and our 3rd season kicks off. Is it early May, right?
May, I believe. We're right down to the wire here. It's almost finished. It's great.
We did a prolific amount of work last year and into the beginning of this year. We don't do a whole lot of travel at the beginning in the first quarter anyway because of the weather. That being said, thank you guys for being here. So what are you guys going to do during the show? Are you going to watch is everybody going to watch the show, or what's happening here?
I'm going to tune in.
You're going to do it. Okay, very good. Thank you guys. We'll be back with you shortly. We'll see you later on in the program. It reminds me that we have got a lot to cover this hour. I'm bursting at the seams, not just my waistline and the fact that I need a haircut, but we've got a lot going on. And I would like you to participate as much or as little as you would like. We want this show to be interactive, and of course we can't do that without you. So the comment section on the YouTube channel on this video, that is the best place to participate. And we made it easy for you. If you've got travel questions, that'll come up in our travel Q&A segment that's later on today and on future episodes as well. We've also made it easy for you in the notion that we're asking a today's question, which is all about travel. Here it is once again. What was the favorite aspect of your last vacation? Again, we're assuming that you went on a vacation at some point, but what was that thing that you remember the most? We'd love to hear about that. And here's something even cooler for this week and in future episodes as well. Every person that makes a comment on this video is registered to win a $250 gift certificate to restaurant.com. Our good friends out there are doing a phenomenal job of giving you a great deal on a great meal, and it's very simple to understand. We're just going to give you $250. Now, of course, there are some restrictions that apply, and there are some rules to these things, but it is good for takeout and delivery. So that's restaurant.com, and that's everyone that makes a comment or asks a question. Again, helping with that interactivity, and you do need to subscribe to the Erik the Travel Guy channel as well, which is where you will find this episode each and every week at 4 o'clock. Oh my goodness, the travel headlines, they're not looking great. I want to bring in Andrew Kalb. He's our in-house media analyst, and he certainly watches the travel industry for us, as we all do. But Andrew, look, there's not a whole lot of good news, so I guess we should start with the cruise industry. Not a lot of good news there either.
No, quite the case, Erik. It's incredible when you think about it. The entire industry has shut down for obvious reasons and the right reasons. Yeah. The only movement we saw last week were a couple of ships that came into Port Everglades in South Florida with some ill passengers, obviously from COVID-19. A lot of the ships, as we know, are parked at their home ports or out at sea getting some work done. But the industry, for all intents and purposes, is shut down right now.
Got it. And airlines not faring as much here. Again, we don't know. Are they going to receive money from the government? What are they doing with supply and demand? No one's flying. What's going on with the airlines?
Planes are moving, but they're moving in very small numbers. Yeah. For example, JetBlue is, for the month of April and the month of May, they already know that they're going to have about 7,000 passengers each day. On a normal day before COVID-19, they would be looking at 120,000 passengers each day. United Airlines, one of the big three, they have a hub in Newark in New Jersey, and they went down from 157 flights a day to 17 flights in the New York City area, which includes, of course, Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia.
Well, and again, here we are talking about these big companies, Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, United, American, Delta. These are massively large companies. And frankly, the airlines, the entire airline industry is an industry that consumers, we all love to hate because they do just crazy things sometimes, and we don't really understand it. And, sometimes the customer service, it is a big corporation. But I think the reason we're talking about these industries is obviously on this particular program, that's what this show is about. We got to remember these companies represent hundreds of thousands of jobs, millions of jobs worldwide. So, we really don't want the cruise industry to go under. We don't want the airlines to become nationalized. We don't, I think about the front desk agents. I think about those housekeepers. I think about the baggage handlers. I think all these jobs just being put on hold while we wait through to get to the other side. Same with hotels. You think about the number of hotel rooms and the hotel industry. Also, what were the recent numbers about occupancy in hotels?
We saw last week hotels down 67.5% occupancy compared to the same week in 2019. That's a dramatic drop. And the point that you just mentioned, Erik, about the residual impact, that's what gets to the core of this problem. It's not just because one hotel is shut down or one airline is flying fewer flights. It's all the impact that has on your drivers, your help staff, and so forth. This is dramatic, and it's all for the right reason, in the sense that the goal is to get people healthier, keep people safe, and everything.
Yeah, well, I agree. And that's the idea here, is that, when we start talking about the recovery effort, And I have been criticized when we go through much smaller crises saying, no, one of the ways you can help is by traveling. Why? Because the airlines will work with the people that are flying. The hotels will work with the people staying in the rooms. The cruise lines will work with whomever is going. And if we all just decide, now we're just not going to do travel, the direct and indirect ramifications of that are just, astronomical.
Through the roof is the only way to describe it right now. It's definitely through the roof, but travel has to be shut right now. There's no reason for people to be moving around because we know with the nature of this virus that we're dealing with COVID-19, the only way or one of the key ways other than vaccines and that whole conversation is keeping people away from one another.
Yeah. Well, and what I really like is the innovation that's cropped up by necessity. You and I were talking about a lot of the museums. You could be taking virtual tours of these museums. Is that right?
Museums across the world have virtual tours right now. So you can sit at home and plan your next vacation. If you're a person who enjoys museums, you can stay at home, go online. For example, in the New York City area, some of the greatest art museums in the world are online with virtual tours, or the American Museum of Natural History online with a virtual tour. And it's fantastic. It's a great experience to spend some of that time with your children, with your family, and your loved ones.
Yeah, agreed. And of course, something that we practice here on this program, on our other program, is there's no substitution for going somewhere. We just have to have it on hold for now. And, this is a great opportunity to think about, oh my gosh, what is going to be your next trip? Well, in order to help you do that, a great place to start is to think about your last trip. So I leave you with, Andrew, thank you. And we'll see you later on for the Q&A, right?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
What was the favorite aspect of your last vacation? All you need to do is leave it in the comments below. We have a lot to get to today still. Up next, we're headed off to Alaska with Allison Anderson. That is next on Beyond Your Backyard Now. We're going to take a short break. We will continue. Stay with us. Hey guys, just want to take a quick second to tell you about our good friends at Restaurant.com. Now more than ever, the restaurant industry needs our help, and frankly, I can't think of a better way to support the restaurants in your community by ordering delicious meals at a fraction of the price. Now, while many establishments have temporarily closed their dining rooms, their takeout and their delivery options are available to you right now. Here's what I want you to do. Go to Restaurant.com, type in your zip code, then you can view the discount offers at participating restaurants in your area. With more than 62,000 restaurants and providers nationwide and more than 500,000 deals available every day, you are sure to find exactly what your taste buds are craving in just about every type of cuisine. So support your local restaurant community and save with Restaurant.com. Because let's face it, the only thing better than a great meal is a great deal at Restaurant.com. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to Beyond Your Backyard Now. It is our premiere episode. It is a vacation conversation. We'd love for you to participate. We've got today's question up and running. What was your favorite aspect of your last vacation? That is our question of the day, which will carry us through the week. Don't forget, if you participate by leaving a comment or a question, everyone who does that this week, you'll be entered to win a $250 gift card to Restaurant.com. Dr. Joel Ingersoll will join us. He's a clinical psychologist a little bit later in the program to help us with this whole how do we wrestle with our new normal of being at home? What are some tips? What are some warning signs to look out for? And how to get along with perhaps your spouse, with your significant other, with your children. He will join us here in just a moment. But first, how would you like to have the dream job that Allison Anderson has? Check this out. She makes a living by going to places, documenting them in video, and presenting them on YouTube. It sounds vaguely familiar, but she is a superstar and a fantastic person. I can't wait for you to meet her. Allison, it is nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And I've been looking forward to this interview because I watched your Alaska video on the, I think it was was it a seaborne ship? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that I absolutely love about, doing travel for a living, is watching that organic discovery of like, holy crap, this is this. Whatever it is, and it doesn't matter what it is. And I watched you do that. And I know that's an editorial choice as to whether or not you include that in the video or not. And I love the fact that you did, because it makes you seem like a real person, which you are a real person, last time I checked.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. I'm just saying. But I did. I thought that was really cool. So that was your first trip. For those of you that don't know, we'll post your video so people can watch it. But that was your first trip to Alaska, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what'd you think?
I had high hopes for Alaska, and it blew me away. It was absolutely incredible. I did not realize how much wildlife there is. I mean, you hear that Alaska has wildlife,
right,
but like, it's everywhere. I mean, we'd be driving down the street on a tour and there'd be like 12 bald eagles lined up on a power line. Like, I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere that you turn, and it's so just beautiful. The scenery, it's lush, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's incredible.
Well, and you did this on a cruise. So was that an inside passage cruise? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How long was the duration of that? Do you remember?
It was 11 days.
It was 11. Okay. And that was seaborne. And I think we get the bonus. Wasn't that the first time you'd ever stepped foot on a cruise ship and taken an actual cruise?
Yes, it was. It set the bar very high for me. Yeah.
That's one of those things that, of course, the time that we're in now, where we're like, I wouldn't be caught dead on a cruise ship right now. Right, of course, fine, that too shall pass. But what's interesting to me about cruising is something that the cruise industry knows so very well, which is, once you go on one cruise, it's very difficult to get someone to go on one, but once they go, they come back time and time again. Why are you going to do another cruise in the future after this scenario passes?
Well, something that I loved is that it's a very efficient way to travel, in the sense that you go to sleep every night and in the morning you've woken up somewhere new. So you don't actually have to use your waking hours of the day to like get from one place to the other. So I felt like I saw so much more in 11 days because I was traveling through the night while I was asleep. And it was just such a cool way to see so many different places in one trip.
Yeah.
So many different cities. And the cool thing about Seabourn is they also had so many excursion options to get off of the ship and get closer to wildlife, or go kayaking, or do all kinds of things as well. And so it kind of just felt like a package. It had it all.
I think on this particular episode, you brought up something I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I think what we'll do after we wrap up our interview here today together, we shot a video from the Tracy Arm Fjord. And I know you did some fjords on that particular trip. And I think we should run that today, because again, the pictures don't even do it justice. Like, I watched your video and it was stunning. It was beautiful. I'm sure we're not winning any Academy Awards for our cinematography here, but it was well done, very well done, I might add. That's why you're on the program. They're not all created equal, I might add. So, but even those images, they don't do it justice, do they?
No, not even close. I mean, the day that I woke up at the Endicott Arm, I think is where we were, that I walked out on my balcony and there were chunks of ice floating past, and there were these black blobs on the ice, and I realized they were seals and their pups just drifting past the balcony. And mind-blowing. I mean, it really, you can't even, the words don't do it justice.
All right, now we need to talk about your YouTube channel. First of all, what is the channel? Make sure people know where to go. What is it?
It's youtube.com/Allison Anderson.
Okay, very good. Well, that seems, and that is that can't possibly be your real name. Did you make that name up?
No, that's my name.
That's it. You got that. All right, very good. All right, so why did you decide to do that channel? Because I think I saw it's been around since like 2008, 2009, right?
Yeah, 2009. I was in college and it was summer, and I came across YouTube and I thought, I'll make a video. So I rummaged around my parents' house and I found one of those old mini DVD camcorders, and I started recording my YouTube videos onto those and ripping it off and uploading. And I thought I would do it for a week, and 10 years later, I'm still here. So it's been pretty crazy.
We're talking with Allison Anderson. Allison, what was your last trip before the whole coronavirus thing that apparently you started out there in Seattle? So, okay, fine. It's all about getting to the apex, but okay, that's another matter altogether. What was your last trip?
I went to Joshua Tree about 6 weeks ago now, in February. I was tired of the rain in Seattle, and I got online and I looked for cheap flights anywhere, and I saw Palm Springs, and I'd never been to Joshua Tree, so I flew down there, rented a car, sat out in the sunshine in the desert and soaked in that vitamin D, and it was really nice.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love your story. I love the channel. We all do. We all been watching your videos over the last couple of days, and we're all like, we're very apprehensive to have new people on. We're like, so we just were like, oh, she's terrific. We hoped that you would be as wonderful in person as you were on camera, and it certainly shines right through that you absolutely are, and that's terrific. Where is your next trip, and when are you going to take it?
Oh, aren't we all asking ourselves that question right now?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, kind of depending on when this changes, what time of year it is. I'm not sure. I think the first thing I'm going to do when we get the green light travel is I'm just going to find a cheap flight somewhere to like a national park or a city I haven't been to in the US and just go for a couple of days. Just get out, see somewhere new, walk around. And then I think the first big trip I had some pretty big plans for exploring Southeast Asia that got derailed with this situation. So I'm hoping that I'll spend some time down there once this is all over.
Good to me. Allison, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Will you come back and give us an update on what's going on with you out there?
Absolutely. I'll come back anytime.
I mentioned that we were in Alaska a couple of years back, and we made a phenomenal video. I really am happy with it. It's a shorty. It's about a minute long. It's from the Tracy Fjord. We're going to head to break. We'll take a short little reset here. And after the break, Dr. Joel Ingersoll will be here, the clinical psychologist, to help us. We've got some special guests coming up as well, and a couple of surprises. In addition to travel Q&A, we will answer your questions, those of you that have asked them already on the promo for the show. We will get to that in just a moment, but I thought I would leave you here real quick as we head to break with the Tracy Fjord of Alaska.
Experiencing Alaska's abundant natural beauty is easier than you might imagine. Situated close to Juneau, adjacent to Stevens Passage, you'll discover the fjord named Tracy Arm. 30 miles of pristine waterway, green cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and a glacier that can only be described as awe-inspiring. This fjord is an exceptional demonstration of Mother Nature's authentic grandeur. So take a deep breath and feel that cool, crisp air as you sail through some of Alaska's most accessible and spectacular scenic beauty. And when you do, you'll truly appreciate nature's masterpiece.
You're watching Beyond Your Backyard Now with Erik the Travel Guy for Monday, April 6th, 2020.
Thank you, Aaron. We are back. We've crested the half-hour mark on our debut episode of Beyond Your Backyard Now. I am Erik the Travel Guy. Hopefully, this will serve as your inspiration to include travel when we get through this health crisis, and that's what the goal of this show is. Every week, we'll do it here on YouTube. We'll drop a new episode at 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll also release individual pieces of the show throughout the week, and of course, support that with blog posts and articles and show notes from this particular episode. So that's all at beyondyourbackyardnow.com or on YouTube, of course, at YouTube/Erik the Travel Guy. Anywho, I did get a note from a colleague of mine on Instagram, and I appreciate this. They were asking about the well-being of my small children that I have. I have 2 girls, and they thank you, by the way, for that note. I don't want to name who asked me, but thank you for inquiring about that. Yes, they are safe and sound. They're out in suburban Minnesota with their mom, hanging out, frankly, having the time of their lives under the circumstances, but I certainly speak to them every day. I see them via the FaceTime. There's a photograph of them. So, yeah, they're having the time of their life. And, of course, you know, that reminds me, we've got the question of the day ready to go. We've got today's question is what we're calling it. What was your favorite aspect of your last vacation? So, you know, where did you go last and what did you love about it? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm being told our next guest is ready to go, so the good doctor is here. So let's get things underway. Dr. Joel Ingersoll is a New Jersey licensed psychologist and renowned impact performance coach for students, parents, business leaders, and corporations. He has a PhD in clinical psychology and an MA in applied social psychology and a master coach certification. He joins us today. I think I got it all right, but you sound very important, Doctor, and I'm glad you're here.
Thanks. It's good to be here, Erik.
You know, we've covered a lot of somewhat troubling information, certainly about the travel industry, but man, it's kind of crazy out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and personally, I've had to cancel a couple of upcoming trips I was really looking forward to.
The officials are saying, stay home. And that means all your family members stay home. And so are you seeing more and more patients and folks calling saying, man, this is a little tougher than I thought it was going to be?
Yes. And certainly it extends across all family members, whether it's a high school kid who now has to do online learning from home, which initially a lot of them thought was a really good idea until they start missing their friends, to, you know, parents who have to stay home and work from home or are losing jobs and everything in between, really. It's really quite concerning.
We're certainly, of course, not going to make light of, look, this virus is, from a health perspective, extremely dangerous, very contagious, and it's affecting a lot of people from a physical standpoint, and by all accounts will continue to do so until we get through it. What I'd like to focus a little bit with you today is, what about the rest of us? How are we supposed to cope with this new normal of not, forget about the job loss. Let's just, for argument's sake, say, no, I am at home and I'm working from home. My company has allowed me to telecommute and I'm using Zoom as we are today, meeting with the team. And sort of how do we deal with this new normal, especially when we're being told, this is only going to go on for a couple of weeks. Oh, wait, it might go on for a couple of months. Oh, wait, it might go on for 5 to 6 months. Psychologically, we're left with, we kind of don't know how long this could go on. How do we deal with that?
I think that it starts with a mindset, Erik, and I have to do it. We all have to do it. And that mindset, at the very core of it, is a commitment to constantly assessing and adjusting throughout each week, even throughout each day. And it might mean how we fill out proactively fill out like a daily calendar or schedule, even down to the words that we use when we fill out that calendar. So let me give you an example of that. So many kids that I'm working with, are those that fill out a calendar, might write in, 11 o'clock math, and they're rolling their eyes and they're bored and they don't see the point. Well, what I'm challenging them to do, rather than label the task math, you label it the benefit first, which is increased problem-solving skills. And under that, we put math. Rather than exercise, we put increased strength and endurance training. So we use these more powerful words because I don't think that there is one specific answer in terms of like how to do this. We have to pepper ourselves constantly with things we listen to, with things we read, with things we write. And we just have to keep re-engaging in that. It's going to be key. One of the things that maintains just general fulfillment and happiness is lifestyle and what we choose to do. And they may be very simple things that we take for granted. Like I love going to the grocery store. And all of that has changed. So it's really challenged everyone. It's such a unique challenge to reinvent how we do things, reinvent our lifestyles. And that takes a lot of work. And fortunately, there are a lot of people out there in my field and in other fields who are making themselves available to people to really help with that, because people rely on those lifestyle behaviors, and if they're not participating in them and they get upended, a lot of them just don't know what to do.
Can this new normal lead to depression, anger, bad moods, irritability? Is this a recipe for things that we need to pay attention to now?
Yes, potentially, yes. And you bring up a number of points there and that lead to that potential. For example, I may have in my family, a very different level of comfort opening a box in my garage. I might not be the one who sprays it down with Lysol, for example. Now, my wife may spray it with 2 cans, but if I'm not doing it and therein lies conflict. So what we're starting to see is, or what I'm starting to see is certainly conflict arising at home, even over how to care for the mail and how to, handle grocery shopping and things like that, because there's a lot of uncertainty, obviously, with this virus, and uncertainty in general is rocket fuel for anxiety.
Well, but that leads to the question, of course, which is, let's start from where we are today. I mean, maybe this will not be the last time we speak together on this program. I have a feeling you'll be back with us, hopefully, if you'll allow us to join you. What can we do? What are some simple steps now to begin to be aware of those things so that we don't go down those roads and take them too far? Of course, we're all going to be in bad moods. We're all going to have mood swings from time to time. But we're talking about, really preparing for the future. How do we do that today when it comes to that conflict resolution?
So I think that, and in part it goes back to mindset. I also think it's, if we kind of define our families and friends in part as accountability partners, to make sure, because here's the thing, I mentioned lifestyle before, and that how that helps to maintain personal fulfillment. Well, now a lot of it's not there. Not a lot of those options are not there. And so, are we sleeping more? Are we drinking alcohol more? Are we eating differently? Are we exercising less? What are we doing and not doing that could either increase the likelihood or make worse an experience of depression, reactive depression to this situation for some, or make chronic depression even worse, which has a lot to do with our perspective of things. well, I can't get to the gym, or I'm never going to be able to go back to college or school. And so these things become layered. So it's very important to increase our self-awareness with how we're thinking, what type of thinking we're doing, and how we're engaging in lifestyle behaviors, what we are doing or what we're not doing. That could either increase the intensity of it or lower it.
We can talk ourselves into some dark places, but the good news is, can't we talk ourselves into some bright places too?
Absolutely. And so that drills down to a really core concept, and that concept is the power of thinking in relation to things like anxiety and depression, right? So it's one thing to have a thought, Eric, and we have millions of them a day. Now, it's something different to believe a particular thought. So if I have some catastrophic belief about, this week and how it's going to go, and there's nothing on my calendar, and what am I going to do? I mean, you hear those what if, those kinds of questions are often connected to things like anxiety and depression. Now, on the flip side of that, what's really critical is that one, we begin to catch ourselves in that negative type of thinking. And if we're generating that, then we also can generate something positive. And there is a lot out there to do in order to facilitate that.
Well, and that brings up another excellent point. If someone watching today may not even think, oh my gosh, I've got some serious issues going on in my mind. They might not even be thinking that far down the path. They may be on the precipice of, I wonder if I'm in the right headspace, for lack of a better description. There are resources available to people right now as they're watching this. If they're concerned about this issue, they can pick up the telephone. That has nothing to do with perhaps taking an appointment face-to-face with somebody. There are numbers to call right now, correct?
Oh, absolutely. There's numbers to call. There's websites. I mean, and if people aren't even ready for that step, which I think is a great step, but the idea of, well, what are you looking at on your phone or online? Like, are you constantly following negative news? Now, that could be a maintaining factor to something like depression or anxiety. If I'm watching all this, the impact of this pandemic, and I'm noticing that that's associated with a negative feeling, I might want to dial down on the amount of television that I'm watching or news that I'm watching and flip to whether it's a psychologist or a coach or somebody who's on Instagram who's posting very positive things. Even the stuff that you're doing is just awesome. It's very positive. It's very moving and uplifting. We need to spend time there.
I can't speak for everyone. I certainly feel like, man, when it comes to this virus, I am out of control. I have no say as to whether or not this virus affects this person physically, this person dies from this. I can't control the spread of it. I can't en masse. But what you're saying, which I'm absolutely loving, which is there are things in my control. The social distancing, paying attention to the official information, and what I do with that information, and what we collectively do with that. That puts you on a path to potential success.
Those thoughts and fear in and of itself, there's energy to it, right? Now, we don't like it. We don't like anxiety. We don't like that word. But there's energy to it. The big question is, what do you do with that? How do you use the fuel of that, to use a travel phrase, for self-improvement during this time, for personal development during this time? Because there are a small percentage of people that are actually doing that. They are using the fuel productively. It stinks, like it's awful. We know this. Now, if we take that thought and label and kind of set it in a box, the key is to continue to trust taking action in spite of negative thinking and negative feeling. if we're able to use the fuel, what ultimately happens, Eric, is that the thinking slowly becomes more optimistic. The feeling starts to become better. I'm feeling less anxious. I'm feeling less depressed because I'm trusting positive action. Trust taking action.
Well, Dr. Joel, people pay you big money for this advice, and certainly you're doing your part even today from the comfort of your own home to help all of us get through it. Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on Stay Healthy.
Thank you, my friend. I will absolutely do that, as well as everyone who works on this program, and hopefully you at home. Really some good information there. Well, my sordid past, the collection of characters that I'm so incredibly proud to call my friends and colleagues. I invited a friend of mine to join us today, and the reason I invited him is because he is a Broadway performer. He's an actor, he's a musician, and has been his whole life. He's actually originally from the same area that I live in here in the tri-state area. His name is Brian Fenkart, and he is on the Zoom, so I have to turn over here. So how are things, now you're in Queens, right? You're in the New York tri-state area. How are things going in Queens out there?
It's a little scary. I don't know if you've heard of that Elmhurst Hospital, the one where they had to get refrigerated trucks to throw bodies in.
Yeah.
That's about a 7-minute walk from my apartment. So it's been great and not scary at all.
No, not scary. But let me ask you this, though. Do you share, we've been talking about this on this show today, which, of course, do you share my thoughts and our thoughts of like, yeah, this too shall pass? Do you still have that kind of positive? We were just talking with Dr. Joel. Do you still kind of share that, like, we just have to get through this?
Of course, and I think we have to, but also like it helps a lot, I think, to actually get to the other side of this. I know it seems weird and like sort of metaphysical, but I do think that sort of positivity is a physically healthy thing in a way, and I think it does help us to sort of to see the other side of this and know that there is one. I think is enough for now.
Agreed, and it's so funny. Like, I mean, it's not funny, but I mean, what's interesting here is that it's very difficult for us to visualize what that other side is like because, look, for how many generations we haven't had to go through anything like this on this sort of mass scale. So we're all kind of taking this sort of leap of faith, if you will.
Oh, yeah. I mean, none of us have ever been through anything like this unless you happen to be alive in 1918, which I don't think any of us were. I feel like I might have been at this point, but yeah, I mean, it's so unprecedented that none of us know what this is going to look like. It's scary, but at least we're all in the same boat in a way. Like we're all freaked out and terrified in a way that's sort of comforting.
It is, that's right. There's safety in numbers, and what's interesting from your perspective, I mean, you and I share that sort of, performer spirit, and yet, you've taken it to the nth degree. You've dedicated your whole life to acting like someone else, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. And yet, we take the entertainment business as sort of like it's the entertainment business. Oh, it's Hollywood. But yet, now the entire movie industry is shut down. Most of television shut down. All of Broadway shut down. And we throw out these things like Broadway shut down. We think about like what, 10, 12, 15 Broadway houses. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about the entire New York community of Broadway, off-Broadway, off-Broadway, the whole thing. I mean, everything just, that's it, because we can't gather to watch the shows.
Yeah, and it puts actors and artists and performers in a really weird spot because, like you said, it's not just Broadway, because you can't go, well, Broadway's closed, I'll do off-Broadway. Everything's shut down. And then even if you go with like the cliche of, well, I'll wait tables and bartend in the meantime, we can't do that either. There's no bars or restaurants. So there's nothing to do.
And very typical, of course, we always think about the actors, forget about the crew, let's save the actors. Yet there's an entire other side of that equation, which is all the technicians.
Yeah. The technicians, ushers, I mean, all these people who just have no income now and nothing to do.
And now what we're seeing in relatively short order, we've all been told, stay in our homes. You don't have to. In some cases, you have to. But I mean, again, we've been all said, listen, if you stay in your home, you practice social distancing, we really can shorten the amount of time it's going to take to allow this to spread and make the severity less. What do actors do? Well, they take care of their families, they take care of themselves, and then they turn on their webcams and they start performing online.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like has been keeping us sane, but it's keeping everybody else sane too. I think that's one of the things people are forgetting is like when you talk about artists and musicians and all this stuff and comedians and all that, it's like, oh, they don't have jobs. Who cares? Who gives a crap? But when you're on lockdown, what are you doing? You're putting on TV shows, you're putting on movies, you're watching comedy, you're reading books. Without us, your lockdown would be pretty terrible. Maybe it is anyway. Maybe you got kids and everything's a misery anyway. But for most of the people who are locked down, we're the ones who are keeping you occupied. So it's like, it is important in a lot of ways. Yeah. And I love seeing our community, like seeing all these actors and musicians start putting together, home concerts and monologue classes and things like that. I actually have been sitting around since I got nothing to do, and I've been throwing together a few tunes. I actually just finished writing one yesterday. I don't know I would love to try it out if you don't mind.
Are you serious?
I haven't played it for anybody yet. I have no one to play it for.
Well, there you. But this is amazing. You really did write a song just for your appearance today?
Yeah. You told me I was coming on. I was bored to tears, and I thought, hey, this would be a good debut.
Do I need to do anything? Like, do I need to prepare? What do I need to do?
No, you're all set. Let me just get my microphone set up and my keyboard fired up, and we'll get cracking.
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, this is epic. The one, the only. I'm going to try to do my best Ed Sullivan, David Letterman, Johnny Carson introduction for you, or Carson Daly. Let's do it for the kids.
Hey.
The one, the only, Brian Fenkard.
Anthony works in the grocery store. He'll be there until Easter Sunday. Governor Cuomo hit it right on the nose. He said we gotta close the whole country. Now I'm working from home. I need another snack. Thought we'd be fine by now. I finished Fleabag and Tiger King on Netflix and Amazon benders. And now when I pass the time, when leaving your house is a sin, good luck having friends, 'cause I'm staying in. I'm staying in. Mm-hmm. My neighbor Susan is stomping a beat, training to be a step dancer. I'm watching all these Insta stories while I pick at my feet, lobbing out Jeopardy answers. Yeah, it's video chat. I see your plumbers crack. You ought to know by now. I finally won at Bananagrams, but there were no other contenders. All the whiskey and vodka are gone, and I'm already low on gin. Yeah, I'm already drunk, 'cause I'm staying in. I'm staying in. I can't believe I have to relearn all this math. I don't know Common Core. No one knows Common. Maybe I can trade my kids to pay my rent. I use toilet paper for money, and I'm sure you're probably fine, but I don't know where you've been. Yeah, I just heard you cough, so I'm staying in. I'm staying in. Mm-hmm. I'm staying in. I'm staying in.
Will that work?
I don't know, man. Unbelievable. I am sorry. Now I realize, everybody watching has some level of creativity to them. I believe that even the people who say, I do not have a creative bone in my body. I read Excel spreadsheets all day. And I reject that. I think that they do. There's certainly a lot of frustrated painters, musicians, actors, a lot of businessmen and women out there. But I can't believe you just knocked it out. Unbelievable.
Thanks.
Unbelievable.
Thanks.
I think now we need more. Can you do another one?
Yeah, why not? What else am I going to do?
Thank you, Brian, for doing this. Thank you for the song. Thank you for being here, and stay safe, my friend.
All right, social distance, buddy.
This segment is all about your questions, you being the viewers, of course. And I think we should start, guys. Gary T, on the promo for the show, he asked a question. It was a good question, too. Where are all the cruise companies parking their cruise ships because they're not sailing with people on them? And we did a little research on this. I know, Sal, you made a couple of calls. And there's actually a couple of good articles about this. If you would like to find them online, you can go to the show notes. We noted one of those articles. We talked to our friends over at Carnival who said the cruise ships go back to their home ports, and some of them are anchored at sea, which, if you think about it, that makes the most sense. And some of them are actually anchored and or moored to their private islands, so that the crew can get off and have time off while they're busy not taking care of passengers and taking care of the ships. Also, they noted that a lot of the maintenance is going on. Some routine maintenance, some additional maintenance is all going on the ship. So that's pretty much standard. So thank you, Gary, for that question. I thought that was pretty cool. Which, what are you going to do? All right. Now, that being said, since we don't have a lot of questions from viewers yet, I thought I would get the ball rolling. And I thought I'd ask you, Aaron, real quick, what are some of the ways we can add travel to our homes today? We talked about this earlier in the introduction, and here we all are at our houses with our children and our families and some extended families and whatever. Give us a couple of tips. Can you help out a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, I think if your reality of being in quarantine is thinking of the future and you're able to plan and do some of those travel destination things based on the blog post we were talking about earlier, one of the cool things to do would be get a map of the United States or the globe or whatever you want to do, get your fam all gathered around, throw darts, pin the tail on the donkey to some destinations, get the conversation rolling about what each family member may be interested in, or do a pool like that thing. I know there was some other ideas of coming up with musical artists you follow, guests, you're like, where did they come to, get their start, and kind of following that route if you want to look for some destinations. Another one I kind of came up with would be like a sorting hat style, like Harry Potter, if you get the kids involved, you chuck all these destinations in a hat, start going at it, just kind of gets the conversation rolling, and it actively involves your children. And I think anybody with children knows that can lead you down a very long rabbit hole of research and discussion, but it kind of makes it interesting and gets them excited about planning something or putting something on the table for them.
And Randy, you also put a little effort into this as well and wrote a little bit of we have a blog post about that, right?
Yeah, there is a blog post for it. I think that's the important thing. To me, the planning of the vacation a lot of times is just as fun as going on the vacation. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going someplace that you've never been for that's totally new. And when you can get your family involved, it's a great way to, kill a lot of time and also to get everybody's input and really plan the perfect vacation that we know everybody's going to have something they can appreciate on this trip.
Well, that leads me to my question for you, Sal, which is, and I know I'm putting you on the spot. We're not, we didn't do a big rehearsal for this segment, as we try to be as organic as possible. When do you think we're going to start traveling again? Is it going to be is it going to be immediate? What do you think?
Well, there was initially a lot of optimism from industry professionals, the tops of the airlines, talking about, a quick resumption of travel. They subsequently started walking that back. I was reading some new interviews with the new United CEO, Mr. Kirby. who's taking over in a month. Great time to take over as top of an airline. Who has walked back his predictions for, re-adding flights, probably not to the end of the year. So they've been, American's been the most aggressive. They came out and said they're going to operate the, 60% of their long-haul flights this week. But a lot of the other airline execs are coming back saying, well, just wait a minute. They want to get a feel for the marketplace as these things recover. And a lot of government officials now are talking about a phased-in recovery from this, regardless of when the peak of the coronavirus hits. So I think that you're going to see a pragmatic addition back. Before they go putting aircraft into foreign destinations, they're going to have to make really sure that they want to receive American visitors or, North American visitors, and that North American visitors actually want to visit those destinations. So I think that I don't think that you're going to see a full capacity return in the year 2020. I just don't see it.
Not going to happen. Just slow and steady.
That's exactly right.
Honestly, I think that the business travel is also a good indicator. It's funny because this is going to redefine, it has the possibility to redefine how we do business. And we've gone through this before, remember we did the whole teleworking thing. It was all about, and then they found out that the productivity dropped. And so they got to get everybody back in the office. Not everybody can work from home. But this thing has really kind of changed that dynamic. And business travel, of course, is a huge component to the airlines. So they're going to watch that business travel and those indicators as well, which reminds me, we were slated to continue shooting Beyond Your Backyard, the television series for PBS and public broadcasting stations this year, obviously. And we don't know when we're going to return to the road. We talk about that almost daily in our other meetings. But Harry, that leads me to my question for you, seeing as though you're in mission control, Travel Central there, overseeing the season 3 production, which is almost finished. We're in our finishing stages. My question for you on Travel Q&A is, what was your favorite episode from season 3? Why?
That's a great question, Eric. I think it's a toss-up.
Yeah.
I'd say they're evenly split. Olympic, Washington, and Stockholm, Sweden. My 2 favorites, and they're very different. They don't have the same energy or the same vibe or even the same look and feel as episodes, but I think they really do an excellent job of speaking to the energy of those unique destinations. They educate us about those places, which I had never been to either place.
Plus, we got to go on the Dreamliner. That was so much fun going in on the flight deck for a takeoff from JFK. Talk about airlines, Sal. I mean, that was...
we were strapped in with the pilot, co-pilot, trying to hold camera. It was amazing. What an exciting experience.
I can't wait to show you that. So excellent. That being said, we do have our today's question. What was your favorite aspect from your last vacation? Look at that nice graphic there, which, Andrew, that is my question for you. What was your last vacation, and what was your favorite part of your last vacation?
Well, my last vacation, ironically, was to Chicago with my son during his Christmas break. And we had a sports guys kind of vacation. We saw a Bears game and we saw a hockey game. And it was a lot of fun. And my best memory was just that, the memories of traveling with my child.
Yeah.
Nothing beats that.
No, that's absolutely true. Now, these questions, we do want this program to be socially engaging. I don't know what it's supposed to be called. We want it to be interactive. We mentioned earlier that we're going to eventually do this show live. Right now, we're doing it as close to live as we can. So you go on our YouTube channel. You can go at beyondyourbackyardnow.com. You can ask questions. You can leave comments. Randy, is it Erik the Travel Guy? That's on Facebook. Is that right? Facebook?
Yes.
Channels we do.
Erik the Travel Guy. You can also find Erik the Travel Guy on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Okay, very good.
So
all right, does anybody
all over.
want to ask a question before we wrap up Travel Q&A? Anybody have a good question you want to?
I have one thought. You guys were talking a lot about, when you're Aaron's Harry Potter, the hat and all that. I was thinking, since we're all home with our children all the time now, one thing that could be a positive spin on this is the idea of teaching a geography lesson based on inspirational travel ideas. So if we pick that idea out of the hat and then we say, all right, where do you all want to go? And then let's research it. And that's Monday. We're going to learn about Paris, or we're going to learn about the Caribbean, whatever it is. That could be an idea for something very, very positive during this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that in mind, maybe we could all say, where do you want to go next?
That's exactly what my next question was going to be to either the panel or anybody who wants to chime in. But where are you most looking forward to going to after we've had a lot of time to think?
How long is this show? I mean, we could talk for some time on that subject. I think later on this year, I think I'm going to be doing more domestic travel and looking forward to going places that I haven't been.
Mhm.
I want to pick off my 2 states that I've not been to, which are Wyoming and Montana.
Mm.
So I want to do that this year at some point. So we're going to do, I want that, that would be those would be my 2,
Mhm.
at least for the time being.
Right.
Andrew?
Let's see. That's a great question. Probably back to California and just to get a feel for that. It's a lot of fun.
California.
Wide range, of things you can do there. It's just so enjoyable.
That was the thing about shooting that Northern California episode. I'd been places like Truckee, California, which I had never been to before, Donner's Pass, Yosemite I'd been to before, but that was so much fun. I had so much fun shooting that with Randy, whom has a driver's license but doesn't own a car and did most of the driving.
Yeah.
And
White knuckle driving too. That was steep inclines.
Always an adventure.
That was enjoyable for me.
But that's what I love about some of our shoots is that whenever we go away, then we make the guy that drives 3 times a year behind the wheel. So it's always a good idea.
Right there. How about you, Harry? Where are you looking forward to going to next?
I love cruising, and I would love to get back to Alaska. I'd like to cruise up that way, hit Juneau, Ketchikan, Skagway, get on that train up into the Yukon territories. I think that's inspirational to see the bears, the eagles, and I don't know, the wide open spaces. I think it's incredible.
Sal, how about you? Next place you're looking forward to going to?
I actually have a trip on the books to go up to Napa. Now, I've spent a lot of time in California, but never really spent a lot of time up in the Napa Valley area. I'm going to combine that with a wedding I have to go to up there. But I'm looking forward to it. My oldest son went up there a couple months ago, came back, had lots of good things to say and lots of good wine to drink and food. And so seems to be a pretty relaxing vacation. I think we're going to need it this year.
Yeah.
Do a little relaxing.
Yeah.
Randy, how about you? Last but not least, my friend.
One of our recent blog posts that's also up is it discusses road trips. And while being kind of cooped up at home, I've started thinking more about bigger trips. That I've always wanted to go to Portland, Oregon. Obviously, I've never been to Hawaii, and there's just so many places in the country I'd want to go. But I'm really looking forward to just some of the closer trips that I just love doing around this time of year. Living in New York City, our drive to Rhode Island's about 2.5 hours, and you're on another planet. You can be right on the coast, and you can do all these things that just kind of really take you out of New York. And it's a great way to do an overnight or even just a quick day trip. And that to me is my favorite kind of travel. Just go out and explore the things closest to you. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
We didn't plan this. We really are trying to keep this, like I said, as organic as possible. And you may be wondering, is this what this show is going to be about? Well, yeah, this is part of what this show is about. We invite you to ask questions of the group. And if we don't know the answers, obviously we will find the answers for you next week. Randy, I'm glad you brought up that road trip segment. I think on next week's show, we should do a road trip segment. And
absolutely
we dig into that a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
All right, very good. All right, that's it. I think that's it for Travel Q&A. We'll hit the little button. I don't know what I'm supposed to. Am I supposed to touch the button? Is that what's supposed?
I think you clap your hands.
Yes.
Set to the clapper.
The graphics are set to the clapper. Are we? Let's all try to clap at the same time. That'll be a lot of fun. 3, 2, 1.
That's not good.
For the delay.
Graphics are on the clapper. Yeah, that's how we have to do things around here.
You should get a function where it actually works, so it just goes out.
Alexa, turn off the.
Here, hit the Travel Q&A graphics. There you go. I still think the clapper. All right, listen, we're way over time. Sorry about that. We'll get it together next week. We'll try to trim it down a little bit for you. My thanks to the travel team, Andrew Kalb, Sal Esposito, Aaron Sega, Randy Gardner, the extended team, Kevin Allen, Harry Watson, Max Zarchin, Sherry Spradlin, Will Anderson, Mary Joyce, Ed, Mike, Lisa, Drew, Sarah, Gary, April, and of course to our guests, Andrew Kalb, Allison Anderson, Dr. Joel Ingersoll, Brian Fenkart, and more important to you, please stay safe this week. We'll see you again next week on Beyond Your Backyard Now. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.